Welcome to the Not My Scene podcast, the podcast where we explore different scenes, communities, subcultures, and corners of the internet and tell you what we find. I'm Yarden.
And I'm Kaya.
Stand in it. You want to know my scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to know my scene, don't you?
You little baby, you're crying. You want to know my scene so badly.
Okay, my scene is Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski. You know them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know them.
Topical.
Tell me about them.
Okay, now you're doing it back.
Horrible vibes. I'm laughing because my scene was also going to be figure skating. So this is good.
Yeah.
We'll just get it out of the way. Let's talk about it. Figure skating.
I was actually initially gonna say that, but then I was like, well, by the time this comes out, it's like too late. But Traders will still be coming out, so I can sort of tie it together. Or actually, I think the finale is Friday, but still recent. So
I haven't watched it yet, so I'm sure there's other people out there like me who haven't.
True. So if you don't know, Traders is a reality show on Peacock where they bring in a bunch of reality stars from different shows. You've got housewives, you've got Survivor players, and then this season they also brought in former Olympians and current figure skater commentators Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski, which Peacock also has the Olympics, so it's a very clear, you can see what they're doing there. They're doing the cross promo.
Peacock owns them.
Yeah, Peacock owns them. And
they're like the PETA and Katniss of Peacock. They are
so funny.
Yeah, they are.
They're so funny. I didn't say what the Traders was about. So it's basically like a game of Mafia that is played among the reality stars where there's like 3 to 4 people that are chosen as traders. No one else knows who they are. So everyone else, the faithful, is trying to guess who they are and vote them out. And then the traders also get to kill someone each night. So Johnny and Tara, for the first half of this season, they were pretty minor characters. They weren't getting a lot of screen time. And then right as the Olympics were happening and they were everywhere on my screen during the Olympics, they also their arc really ramped up on the traders. So they did this thing where they were really downplaying their friendship because you don't want to seem like you have too much of a pre-existing relationship with someone. So they're like, we're gonna pretend we're not super close, but little do people know we're best friends. And then when the people started accusing them of being traitors, they were like, okay, how we're gonna prove to people that we're not is by coming out at the round table as best friends. And then after they did that, every time the camera showed them, they were on each other's laps. It was so funny. And they literally touching in every single scene.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
We're coming out as best friends. It's there can't be 2 lies. We can't be best friends and traders. So we must just be best friends.
Right. Or it would be kind of crazy if they were both traders. And since they're so close, obviously I would know if this other person is lying, I think was the logic.
That makes sense. When I was watching the Olympics, I was loving them. And then I found out, I was they're just such good commentators too. I'm really tuning into what they have to say when I'm watching the figure skating. And they're funny and they're smart and they have interesting things to say about the athletes. But I kept being I don't understand how they're in traders. I kind of forgot about the potential for things to be recorded. You know what I mean? I was how are they in the house and at the Olympics? But yeah, I really want to watch it now. I've heard this is a really good season. I've never watched it, but I haven't known as many people in the house in the past.
I know
so
you want to watch for Rob.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you do.
I do.
Okay, so ice skating. It's been so fun.
It's been so fun. The Olympics are just so emotional. I love them. I love the figure skating especially. Just like every other bitch. Alyssa Liu is
I love her.
Amazing. I'm obsessed with her. I'm so happy for
Me
her.
too.
I'm just like her biggest fan. The final dance at the exhibition gala to Pink Pantheress was so fun and good. She has such good energy. This, I think, is the first Olympics that I'm watching where I'm like, damn, these people are like kids. Like they're really young.
Okay, I was gonna
And
say something about this. Yeah.
it's just like remarkable. They're so young and they're so good at what they do and they're so like emotionally strong and brave. And I love them. I cry
Yeah,
for all of them.
I know it's so emotional. I cry at like
Especially when you have like Johnny and
anything.
Tara in your ears being like, and this figure skater's parents both died in a
Yeah.
helicopter crash. That did happen. Really sad.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
the younger than us of it all, like it got me thinking because for so long, not even just sports, like pop music, actors, anything, it's like everyone's was older than us for so long and you're like, "Oh, like what's going to happen like when I'm their age and then when I'm older than them, like that will be weird." And now
Mm-hmm.
it's like happened or obviously there's still a lot of amazing like celebrities that are older than us, but
No, now we're the oldest
now we're the
people.
oldest people alive.
Now we're the elders.
We're the elders and it's like it's sweet because you can be like, wait, I still have the capacity to be inspired by young people even though I'm not like as young as them.
Mm.
I've talked about Cat's Eye before and they're like so young, and then like with Alyssa Liu I'm like, wait, she's like an idol to me even though she's so much younger.
Yeah, totally. Completely agree. She's so inspiring
So
and
fun.
so fun. I love her hair. I mean, come on. Caroline Polachek, Rosalia, and Alyssa Liu. If you have halo hair, I fuck with you really hard.
The one thing I will say is I feel like if I was Amber or any of her competitors and like she kept saying so many times like I feel no pressure, like
I
I really
know.
don't care if I win a medal, I would get like really annoyed.
I know. I'm like so inspired by how she's like completely let go of like expectations and is like trusting. It's so inspiring that she was like, I'm retiring. And now I'm coming back to this and I'm just doing it for fun. And I have no expectations for how I do. And it's just like my joy and sharing my art. But like, if you're another competitor and you're like, this is life or death and I want this so bad, and you're getting like silver, bronze, not placing,
Yeah,
that would
it's
be hard.
brutal. If it was really just for fun, like you didn't have to come to the Olympics, but I guess it is like it's not like figure skating has other large stages where she's like, I want to share my art.
Well, and it's just for fun, but for her, what's like the most fun is winning the gold medal at the Olympics.
I just feel like it should be more of an entertainment than a competition.
Right. I mean, that's like what Disney on Ice is doing.
Right, but like something for us. Something for people with taste.
My year of rest and relaxation on ice, please.
Have you seen any of Johnny Weir's like old routines? Because for one of the exhibition galas, he did poker face, and it's so fun.
Oh my God. That sounds like kind of familiar. I wonder if I saw it like in the moment. Maybe.
Maybe.
I will definitely
I don't
watch
think
it.
I've ever tuned into the exhibition gala before this year.
Yeah, certainly not consciously. I might have just been watching it and not known what it was, but I've never, this was the first year that I was like, guys, the exhibition gala is on at 11 a.m. I'm going to be watching.
Yeah. And did you follow all of the drama with the ice dancing?
With Chalk and Bates and the French couple. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Okay, well, I was kind of late to this. Like, I didn't watch any of it while it was happening. I just had like seen some headlines about the drama, and then I watched before I knew what happened fully. I like watched the first couple episodes on Netflix of that show they have about it.
Oh, I don't know about
It's
that.
like I don't remember what it's called, but it's about the top 3 couples, like their year leading up to the Olympics. So like the Americans.
Oh my
like,
God, I'm so
Canadians,
excited. This
French.
is amazing news. This is exactly what I needed. This is perfect because the Olympics just ended, so we can all watch this.
I feel like you already know like it wasn't that it wasn't. Let's just say I'm not compelled to watch the third episode now that like the Olympics have already happened and I know what happens. But it was like basically like the Canadians and the Americans have had such a long like rivalry, and they thought it was going to be like a battle between them, and then the evil French people came in last minute. But I do think they are really beautiful dancers. Like,
oh my God, they're
everything
amazing.
else aside, I trust people that know more about ice dancing than me that Chalk and Bates were robbed, but just like stylistically I did like the French one more.
Yeah, I don't even know if I think they were robbed. I feel like it's so subjective. Like,
exactly,
there's such an artistic element, and I understand that the Cicerone, I think, is, I'm probably saying that totally wrong, but I think he made like a very slight technical error. But they're like, I don't know. I'm not following how the points are shaking out. Their dance was amazing. I don't know if Chalk and Bates were robbed, but that was a gold medal winning performance. Like, it was amazing. Yes, I know nothing about the sport, but yes, I will be saying that I don't know. I just feel like it's like the fact that people were like trying to get it reconsidered is just kind of in poor taste to me. Like, judging is subjective. I also love a theme in figure skating couples this year was in all of these pairings, the men kept sobbing after the performance, and the woman just looked like so confident and gleeful and happy. And it was just, I love to see a man crying on the ice. It was like really emotional and
well,
awesome.
I guess I'm glad the French won, so he's not gonna like verbally accost her after.
Is that what he does?
I thought that was part of the controversy, is like his old partner like kind of
Said
forcibly
that.
left because he was like verbally abusive.
Yeah, that sounds kind of familiar. I heard that this is so like me talking about something I don't know, but I heard that her old partner was like kicked out for allegations of sexual
that's
something,
also true.
right?
Yeah,
that's also true.
So that's why they're
scandalous
like,
pair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the Olympics. What can I say? I'm a huge fan. It's so fun. I can't wait for 4 years from now. Do you prefer summer or winter?
I feel like typically I've preferred summer, but I was really into winter this year. And I feel like with summer, there's so many more sports. So like you have such a peak. Like I love gymnastics, but there's also so many that are like just more normal. Like, oh, we see basketball all the time.
Right.
And like almost everything with winter is like new.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm never watching like Nordic skiing on the TV the rest of the year.
Some of them are kind of boring. Like all of the sledding ones, I'm like, eh.
Yeah, I'm not super watching those. I will say Nordic skiing was awesome this year. Jessie Diggins is a freaking beast. She's awesome. All right, enough Olympics talk, and let's get into it. What are we talking about today, Den?
Okay, so just in time for Oscar season, we're talking about Cinephiles. And
Woo!
We have an awesome interview coming up with filmmaker and cinephile Aaron Strand. So that is going to be excellent. But before we get into that, should we talk about like how we relate to the world of cinephilia? I feel like you are more of a cinephile than I am, for sure.
I've definitely been enjoying watching movies. I will say I am like, I go see a movie and I'm like, wow, that was an amazing movie. Like, I like almost all movies I see. I don't think I have very discerning taste. Like, I'm very impressed by movies. Generally, when I don't like a movie, it's more like I don't like the way that the movie made me feel. Like, I'm like, oh, that was so sad. I'm like so sad now, but it's probably still a good movie. But I've been like dipping my toe into watching more movies.
I mean,
as
you're
discussed
an
on the pod before. I'm an A-lister. I think what actually kind of prompted this is I started listening to Screen Drafts, the podcast last year. They like kind of create ordered lists of different topics. They like draft movies. Normally it'll be like maybe like movies by a particular director, or they'll do these like mega drafts every year where they like draft their top like 20 films of the year, which are really fun. But I like that podcast and I kept listening to it even though I like hadn't seen any of the movies that they were talking about for the most part. And I think that's what kind of prompted me to want to start watching more films. Now that I'm an A-lister, I say things like watching film instead of watching movies. I will say I had an Oscar-themed birthday party when I was a kid, and I love the
Oh
Oscars. They're
yeah.
always around my birthday. I watch the Oscars every year, and I like generally, yeah, I like movies. I wouldn't say I've been a cinephile, but
You also watched a lot of movies with your dad growing up.
yeah, my dad is like heavy on cinephile. My dad now, I think he normally watches a movie a night, but there was a period of time where when I was little, I remember like we would watch a movie together and then I would go to bed and he would watch another movie. Like he was watching two movies a night. Like
Whoa.
he was watching a lot of movies. I feel like he's watched most movies and he has like an encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of different films and actors and directors, which it's really fun to learn from. Like whenever we watch something, he's always like, oh, I love this director, and telling me what else they've made. And he loves movies, so that has definitely inspired me. I also was thinking about shifting my A-list membership to a Seattle International Film Festival membership. So I might do that this year because they play some more interesting movies. And
Cool.
shout out Seattle listeners, their annual pass is it's actually cheaper than A-list with AMC, I think. I'm kind of in a phase of my life right now where I'm watching more movies and consuming less music. Not that they're like substitutes, but I feel like it's like the big three, like books, movies, music.
What about
And
TV?
yeah, not so much for me.
Yeah.
For you?
Yeah, I would say that's probably my biggest block to being a cinephile and consuming more movies is I'm like such a TV person. Like I love TV. I watch like everything from like reality TV like Housewives to more like HBO like prestige shows. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
really into industry right now. I'll be like, "Oh, I can't watch a movie tonight. Like I can't spend 2 hours." And then I'll watch like 2-hour long episodes of The Real Housewives. So for me, I feel like I either have to see something like when it comes out in the theater or like I'll end up watching it on a plane because it's like really hard for me to motivate watching it at home when I could turn to like a show where I'm already invested in the story and the characters. But I have been doing a bit more at home movie consuming lately.
I do feel like you have to be a lot more intentional with movies. Like there's a bigger effort to start.
Yeah. And you don't want to be on your phone during a movie.
No.
Otherwise, it's like you didn't really get the
Right.
experience.
But you could
Where,
be like playing 2048 balls when you're like watching Real Housewives.
yeah, exactly. I probably should just try to not do so much passive consumption, anyways, but is what it is.
I will say going to movie theaters, the social pressure to not be able to be on your phone is really nice. Like I can only have a big screen right now and I'm locked into it.
Yeah, I was pretty inspired by how Anna Marie said she's been doing her like at home watching with the lights off and like her phone away from her. So I have tried to do that the last couple of times I watched a movie at home, which is so much better. I also feel like I haven't seen very many older movies and I do want to now. I feel like I didn't have interest for a long time. It's like partially because of how I grew up. Like a lot of my childhood, we didn't have a TV, and also like having a much younger sibling. Like when you're a younger sibling, you end up seeing more like adult movies when you're a kid. And when you're an
Mm,
older sibling, you're like watching kids' stuff way longer than you want to be.
that's such a good point. I never thought about that.
Should we get into the interview?
Yeah, let's do it.
To start off, Erin, would you like to introduce yourself and tell the listeners a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Aaron Strand. I am a filmmaker and a film event hoster in Atlanta, Georgia. I have a feature film that premiered last year in 2025 and has been out on the festival circuit and is now on a DIY theatrical run. It's called Withdrawal. And so we are kind of like touring the country with that film as if it was a band. And I have been the host of the Behind the Slate podcast for the last 4 years, but the last 2.5 years, it has turned into a live podcast show where I screen classic films, do a short historical podcast intro, and then either have a special guest or just like an audience discussion after the film. And the mission of that project is really about making the greatest films ever made accessible to everyone. And so somehow I have turned talking about old movies into a job. I don't know how this happened. I don't, and I try to say it to remind myself of like how awesome this actually is, so that I don't get, when I'm being really super stressed about it or whatever. I have a show tomorrow, so it's helpful for me to repeat that this is ridiculously awesome that I get to have this job. So yeah, kind of all film all the time over here.
That's amazing.
That is so cool.
And I went to Aaron's event for the screening for Battle Royale, which was awesome. And I don't think I would have watched that film otherwise, because I'm really bad at watching older movies. So I really enjoyed that experience. And it was like, I don't know, it was a packed house. Everyone seemed really into it. So I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So how did you get into film? What prompted all of this?
Yeah, it really goes back to when I was a child, and my extended family was really into the show Mystery Science Theater 3000, where it was a show on Comedy Central and Sci-Fi Network. Started on Minnesota Public Access, and it was this goofy concept of a guy and his robot friends are watching these terrible old movies and making fun of them and like riffing on the movies as they watch. In the 90s, my aunts and uncles would videotape the episodes and pass the VHSs like around the family. And so when I was at my grandmother's house, they had some VHSs, and I started watching these old Japanese monster movies. It started with Gamera, but then quickly moved to Godzilla. And as like a 5-6-year-old boy, I was just like in awe. I just thought this was like the coolest, funnest, like most hilarious thing ever. And so that I became obsessed with Godzilla. I was like a Godzilla kid. And of course, like I wasn't thinking about like movies or, cinema at the time, but I can clearly look back now and see, my grandmother would take me to the video rental store. Because I was looking for these Godzilla movies, I was going into the foreign section or like the cult section or like the weird section of the video store. It got me comfortable going in non-blockbuster video stores to start with, got me going to the weird sections. And then as I grew up and began to read, I started getting the subtitled versions of the films rather than the English dubbed versions of the films. And so it got me comfortable with subtitles and black and white movies. And I really look back now and credit that childhood love with getting me comfortable with all these sort of things that I hear from other people are still barriers to sort of watching foreign films or older movies or whatever. And because I grew up with it, it just was like the most natural thing in the world. And so then as I grew up, I got really involved in drama. I was a theater kid. I was a cool theater kid. Keep in mind,
That's what they all say.
Oh no, but I was very mysterious and very dark and very deep. So I was like really into acting, and I was going to sort of acting training stuff even while I was in high school. And so it was an easy jump from the Godzilla movies to trying to, research and study great actors from back in the day. So then I went to NYU for acting, and there they have an incredible library with this just ridiculous amount of films. And in my spare time, at this point, like loving cinema and going to movies was a very private experience. And one, I would even go so far as to say it was a lonely experience. I did not do it with other people. It was something I experienced by myself. So there was at this NYU library, you could go in, request a title, and then they would send you to a booth where there was a screen built into this singular booth. And you couldn't handle the DVD. Someone at the clerk desk would fire up the movie to play at that booth, and you could watch the movie alone at the booth. And so I would spend my downtime when I was not out partying at the library, just devouring everything that I could find. One thing led to another. Basically, I had some very early success in my acting career, but I also had a lot of drug problems. I kind of went to college already in full-blown opiate addiction, which then in New York, I kind of had full access to everything I want. So shortly after college, I kind of lit my whole life on fire, and I ruined my career, and I had to go back home to Athens, Georgia. And it was an incredibly humbling experience, although that wouldn't be the word I would use at the time. It was embarrassing and like shameful. But when I landed back in Athens, Georgia, all those acting opportunities were taken away. All the party scene that I was a part of in New York was gone, and I really had nothing to do. And I think that's when movies really kind of like grew into this like life preserver, because it was my one thing I could have in touch with this sort of like effete art world I had been a part of and now was removed from. And slowly but surely, my desire to be an actor shifted to behind the camera. And I found that I was actually like way happier helping other people act rather than acting myself. And fortunately, because of my experiences, I had a common language with them. And so that's how I kind of ended up becoming a writer director and pursuing that art form. And it didn't happen easily or quickly. It was about 10 years of sort of just slogging through the artistic desert and watching lots of movies along the way. And here we are, and it was really like, I think it was coming out of COVID that loneliness of being just a personal cinephile and watching movies alone on your TV at home or in a laptop, where it just was becoming so depressing. And I just needed to get out into the world. I joined an online film club that was actually based out of California called the Arroyo Film Club. And I started going to these Zoom meetings every week. And I realized the joy of talking movies with other people that had seen all the same shit that I did. And so then when things started to open back up and I could really immerse myself into the cinema scene here, I tried to jump in with 2 feet to the best of my ability.
I was listening to your Stanley Kubrick event recording, and your discussion at the beginning about like the loss of community in film watching really resonated with me. I feel like, for all the reasons you said, like the rise of streaming platforms and just the total loss of ambiance in theaters now, I'm very appreciative of the work that you're doing to try to bring back like film discussion and engaging with other people when you watch movies, because that is such a big part of it. And I feel like when you go see a film at an AMC or whatever, or watch it at home, and then you just like go to bed. Like I'm always going on Reddit after I'm watching movies and just, like voraciously wanting to read comments and consume like discourse about the films, and I have no one to talk to about them. So it's like this weird feeling to watch a movie and then just like go to bed and not talk about it.
Really?
Yeah. You want to just stand up in the theater after the credits finish and you're like, so everyone stay. What did you think?
Yeah.
Yes. Like I do want that. I want to go to a class after I watch a good movie and hear it.
Before the internet had really come for movies, I couldn't even appreciate cinema culture. And the truth is because I was scared. I was scared of the sort of snobbishness that was around it, the sort of like 90s video store culture of, oh, like you haven't seen this movie, like, oh, I can't even talk to you. And, like what we would call like film bro discourse now. And so what I want to do and what I try to do is to really try to like increase accessibility. I think that accessibility is still the major barrier. Do they feel like an open hand welcoming them into the experience? Do they feel like they're included and not being subjected to like a bunch of inside jokes, a bunch of like inside discourse, and is this sort of like this protectionist and insecurity that comes with certain scene behavior that I'm sure you guys are like very familiar with, having an entire show devoted to scenes.
Yeah, I appreciate that as well, because that is something that I definitely feel is that intimidation, like not having the background or like having seen all of the like classic films. I'm scared to talk to someone that I would perceive as like a quote unquote film bro.
I hear all the time a consistent refrain of, oh, this isn't for me, or, oh, I don't think I'm smart enough for this movie. And I was like, smart enough? Like these movies are talking to us. Really, a good movie is talking to us on an emotional level, on a universal emotional level. And yeah, maybe there's like a little education involved with sort of like, well, when was this movie made? And like, where did it come from? And what are sort of the social contexts that like gave birth to this thing. And that can really help, because those are the things that are taken for granted when a movie comes out in real time, right? We don't have to do the research of what world did this movie get, released into, because we're living in it. But for older movies, that is some information that can kind of help. But I think that the barrier to entry is extremely low. These are universal emotional experiences. That's something that I often hear about when I tell people that I do audience discussions after films, and people respond and they're like, "Oh wow, how intellectual." And it's like, that is not even the truth of the type of discussions that we have. It's mostly just about like, hey, this is how it made me feel. Oh, like this, I'm kind of have this thought, but it's like not really formed yet, right? And I think the value of those post-films discussions is it's not some competition of like who can sound smarter or have the most insightful assessment of the symbolic nature of the film. That is so dull. It's about creating a sort of, especially doing it as a group, but creates this meditative space. And even as other people are talking, other audience members are processing the movie for themselves and really questioning how they feel about it. And even if somebody never speaks up in an audience discussion, I fully believe that they leave the cinema that night having a more impactful emotional experience just by sitting and listening to other people sort of unpack the film. And that's the beauty of group dynamics, is it really changes the way our brains think. And historically, this is what cinemas were. They were a third space to get together, meet with other people, and they weren't what a modern AMC has turned into, which is essentially like a McDonald's of content, where they don't even want you to stay in the building after the movie's done, right? They make it as uncomfortable and unwelcoming as possible so that you get the fuck out, like, quick.
Some friends and I recently actually went to go see a movie at AMC, and I don't know if this is common to other locations, but there's like technically a bar in our AMC, like technically, like it's barely a bar. It's like
so
a
sad.
like folding table with like a guy standing in front of like,
God.
It's like so brutal. Anyways, we were like, we're going to do it. We're going to sit there and like have a beer before going to see the film. And it really felt like breaking new ground. Like, I don't think anyone has ever sat down in that AMC bar and like had a conversation about the art they were about to consume.
Film, it does a lot of great things for the world, but it is not a charity. And we should be working and striving, and this goes for the big chains as well. And we've been calling out AMC, but Regal, I'm looking at you too. This is not just Adam Aaron's fault, but all the big chains, like, they owe it to the consumer to deliver value for the money that they're asking, right? The problem right now is that so many people are walking away from the movie theater either because the movie sucks or because the theatrical experience sucks. They're walking away feeling like this was not worth my money, and most importantly, my time, because our time is so demanded upon in the modern world where we are infinitely accessible and distractible. And so I think that's the value proposition that any exhibitor and filmmaker really needs to be thinking about and trying to deliver upon.
Yeah, that's a good point.
To go back to how you talked about exploring those video stores, and like that's how you discovered other movies from, looking at the Godzilla movies. And I just feel like that process of discovery is so different now too. That was such a way of like choosing movies before I remember from growing up, you would go to the movie store and you would like look at all the covers and you would read the backs and maybe get a recommendation. And it was much different, like the way that you could just randomly come across a movie. And it's so like algorithmically driven now with the streaming services. And yeah, you could watch a foreign film and then get recommended more foreign films, but it's like ultimately driven by what Netflix or whoever like wants you to watch.
Yeah, for sure. The joy of discovery is sort of taken away. I myself, like, as somebody who like follows all the new release news or whatever, I'm very overwhelmed by choosing what to watch and when to watch it, and what do I choose to go to a theater for, and what do I wait for its release at home. And plus, like, I watch a lot of old movies too, so I'm also constantly debating of like, do I take the risk on something new or do I watch something old, and so I've found my few sort of like curatorial trusted voices that I go to of sort of what to watch next, but it's not quite as fun as it used to be. Now, here in Atlanta, we do have an amazing video store called Videodrome, and I was just there last night. I had to return some tapes. I had DVDs, not tape. I was just there last night, and talk about like a scene. It's literally like, it's a joy that I have not experienced since high school. I walked in, and within 10 minutes, there was like 8 people that I knew in the store, you know, and saying hey and talking and catching up and hanging out with my buddies who work there. We're incredibly fortunate to have Videodrome here, and not every community has that.
It's funny, for a number of years, my dad was living in Ecuador, and he's like definitely the biggest cinephile in my life, I would say. He's super into movies and always has been. And when he was living out of the country, the streaming services are different, and you have like different licensing access to different films. And so for this period of time, he was like one of the only people I knew who was constantly going to the video store, because he would like always go and get, and unfortunately, I mean, these were all like bootlegged versions of all these films that were coming out in the US, but he was like always going and talking to these guys, and his physical DVD collection, it's pretty amazing. But yeah, it was just like this. I haven't physically gone to a video store in a long time, and we have Scarecrow Video in Seattle, so I should go check it out.
Yeah, it's also a matter of censorship, right? Like, some of these big streamers are actively editing films that they own the rights to, censoring them. And I think that's a really slippery slope, you know, as the fascist elements of our society like continue to try to gain control over our physical and digital lives. I do think that it's scary how little we have control of in a rent-based economy, you know, where we're paying rent to these services for access to their libraries, which has 2 really problematic psychological conditions. Number one being that, on the one hand, because we don't think of paying our subscription fees every month, we feel like we're getting the movies for free, right? Psychologically. And they know that, and it devalues. It has just big ramifications up and down the value chain of the art making process. And then secondly, that rent based mentality leads us to sort of repel away from ownership, and we have less of an emotional connection to the movies themselves. The movies that and I'm not a big DVD collector, and it's not something that I really invest in, but the movies that I do have on DVD, I feel differently about, just somewhere deep down in my like lizard brain, you know. And I think there's something to be said for that.
I was going to ask if you're a big rewatcher, like the movies that you own, do you go back to them often?
Not really. Again, just because like I love the thrill of discovery. Like, I'm really about the hunt and the chase, and having seen, you know, I mean, there's plenty of people that have seen more movies than me. There's a lot of degenerates out there, but as someone who's seen a fair amount of movies, it's really like the discovery of something new that gets me really, really excited. I rewatch a lot of things with my daughter, she's 4, so she's like really likes to rewatch things. So I've seen K-pop Demon Hunters at least in segments about 50 times.
Talk about lizard brain.
Oh man, dude, it rips. It just rips.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. The songs are so good. Yeah, really, I do enjoy K-pop Demon Hunters.
This is something we're seeing a lot of discussion of online. Like, everyone is going into the Criterion Collection closet and showing their picks. I feel like I keep seeing that content online. Can you speak a little bit about it and what it is?
Yeah, sure. Well,
very basic.
Yeah, for the last 20 plus years, they have been re-releasing classic films and bringing these classics of the art house into this vast collection, which they then do a DVD re-release for. A lot of the sort of like expectations we have around DVD special features were innovated by Criterion releases, particularly around director commentaries. They were the ones who really pushed for that to be a part of their discs, and it became sort of just the expectation, along with sort of like extra behind the scene features. They started primarily focusing on the sort of European classic art house and Japanese classic films. They have taken great strides over the past 10 years, mostly due to criticism, to try to expand out of the sort of Euro and just Japanese-centric mindset and try to be collecting more films from all over the world. And also modern-day releases. So at this point, they release about like 5 or 6 new films into the collection every month. So it's always growing. I don't know what number they're up to. I think they're up to like number, like closing in on 1,600, I want to say. In the early days of streaming, they licensed their collections to different streamers that have kind of come and gone. Then they launched their own streaming service called the Criterion Channel, which is a subscription-based streamer. And they also have a deal with Warner Brothers where a fair amount of the collection also appears on HBO Max. But they, in that effort to market their films, they have become pretty savvy in the world of online marketing, which leads us to the Criterion Closet, which is this closet in their office in New York where all of the title, all their DVDs are, and they bring in celebrities and like famous actors and directors into the closet and ask them to pick out their whatever discs catch their fancy. And this has become such an aspirational quality of their marketing, of the Criterion. People dream of being in the closet, that then they made rebuilt a Criterion Closet in like a van and started driving it around the country, and people were like lining up in LA to go get their little like selfies in this traveling Criterion Closet. So yeah, it's definitely become a part of online cinema culture of going to the closet.
I think I saw they were added K-pop Demon Hunters.
No way.
Is that
interesting?
Unless that was a joke.
That's definitely a joke, because Netflix would never allow their property to ever exist on a disc.
When I Google it says it's coming to the Criterion Collection.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy.
Oh my God. You're right. Oh my God. Yarden.
You could say I've been watching some Criterion Collection pics recently. I've watched K-Pop Demon Hunters a few times.
Now, granted, K-Pop Demon Hunters was made by Sony Studios, but it was made through their partnership deal with Netflix. So that's why I just assumed that they would never allow it to go to physical media. But Netflix is growing, changing. They're evolving in the world. And so good for them allowing people to actually own a title.
With respect to Letterboxd, I don't think this is like cinephile specific, but I love Letterboxd because I love reading about movies after I go see them. But I will say, you get to a point where you're like, do I have to post or comment on every single thing that I see? Like, I think I'm kind of being pulled in two directions right now, with wanting to engage in discussion about movies, but also struggling with, okay, every book that I read, do I need to review it on Goodreads? Every movie that I see, do I need to review it on Letterboxd? Like, sometimes I just want to consume things for the sake of consuming them, but it's also fun to keep track of stuff.
Yeah. I have the same. I think my Letterboxd is terribly out of date at this point, because I do feel the burden of sort of logging. And then as a filmmaker, it's like I want to log and support so many other friends of mine work, but then do I want to give it a star rating? Then it's like, should I be rating anything? And I'm always going back and forth on these sort of questions. And so yeah, I've gotten a little spun out and weary of that whole side of it. And I think at its best, Letterboxd is like a great starter. It's just a good conversation starter. I don't think it's a great place to like have a conversation about movies, but when you meet somebody new, it's fun to kind of go through and see what hot takes they've been sending off, or little witty whatevers that they've been doing, or if they're the sort of like Letterboxd essayists, if they're doing these like deep dives, then that also tells you something else about them. It is fun to bring up IRL and be like, oh, I saw your review, like, oh, I agree or disagree, and it's a good kind of conversation in that way. I think that's what it's at its best for.
Yeah, I had a really funny experience last year. I went to go see Anora at the Roxy, which is a theater in San Francisco, and this guy was sitting directly in front of me, and literally as soon as the movie turned off, full brightness on his phone, he opens up Letterboxd, and he went to like, there's like a button, I guess, where you can say rewatch, and it was the 6th time he had watched.
Oh my
Nora.
God.
And I was like, whoa, I gotta get out of here.
Dude, that's hardcore. Definitely like, a Roxy regular.
Yeah. I think as a very intro step into starting to enjoy movies more, I think one thing that can be very intimidating about the film community is how like referential discussion can be. That's something we talked about a little bit before. You need other knowledge to be able to be like, oh, well, you know, this is a reference to this film and this prior work by this director and all of that. So that's where things get a little bit more intimidating for me. But one thing I have been enjoying is trying to be more intentional about like consuming movies, like watching a particular director's work in a more intentional way instead of just going to go see movies because I like a particular actor, which I definitely am still doing. But it is fun, like, to start, if I like a film by a particular director, then like watching their other works and following. So that's like my very baby step introduction into trying to be a little bit more like thoughtful about the movies that I'm watching personally.
Yeah, I love that. That was definitely a major way that I kind of like really started to branch out was, get recommended or watch one thing by somebody. If it really clicks, then it's like, okay, let's go back to the beginning, or it doesn't have to be to the beginning, you know, just trying to devour someone's filmography. I think that led me to my love of director biographies as a way to access greater historical trends and forces. You know, so often these individuals are being affected. I mean, not so often. These individuals are always being affected by the world that they live in. And the sort of context that I try to give people is, you know, really sort of what was happening around that film set on that day at that time. And what was the weight of experience that those artists were bringing into that room at that moment when that recording was captured. And those are the stories that not only make the films deeper for me, because I don't give a shit about symbols in movies. I don't give a shit about color theory. I find all of that to be endlessly pretentious and frankly dull and boring. I am really interested about sort of what obstacles and horrible tragedies and circumstances that these people overcame to get a film finished. Because when you really start diving into it, the fact that any film is finished ever, it feels like a goddamn miracle.
Yeah. What do you think makes someone a cinephile versus just someone that watches a lot of movies? Like, is it something in the way that they consume or think about them?
I don't know. I would never want to put that boundary. I think it's like a self-identifying thing, right? Like if you self-identify as a cinephile, then good on you. And if you're for whatever reason uncomfortable with the term, then that's okay too. I just believe that the only way that the in-person theatrical experience survives is by opening the doors to everyone and trying to invite people in and let them know that they are welcome here. They are welcome here. You are welcome here. It doesn't matter what you look like, what you believe, whether you care, whether you think you're a cinephile or not, whether you've never seen a movie or not. I'm about to present a movie tomorrow called The Battle of Algiers, which is one of the greatest movies ever made. It was made in 1966. It's hugely influential. Paul Thomas Anderson was obsessed with this movie and references it all the time in One Battle After Another, if you saw that from last year. And he shot this film in the Italian neo-realist style, which is a fancy way of saying he shot it on location without actors. He just asked normal people to like become and be part of the film. And it was this movement of movie making after the Second World War of trying to make it accessible and telling working class stories in an authentic way. And the actor who they cast in the lead role of this film, he saw in a market one day in Algeria. He was a peasant farmer who had never seen a movie in his life. I mean, it's like this, what this guy did on camera is like, it's just incredible. It's unbelievable what he was able to do. And it's probably in large part because he had no frame of reference for it. He had no expectation of his mind of what a movie was supposed to look or feel like. He just was himself. And it's so beautiful. So anyway, I don't give a shit if you've never seen a movie before. I do think that this medium and this world is for everyone. And that goes for the sort of like the sequel, big budget movies that Hollywood is putting out these days, and all the sort of art house classics from all over the world. I really do believe it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, what a great example of, you don't need the context to see the film, but I definitely want to see the Battle of Algiers quite a bit more now that I know that. So I appreciate that story.
And it's like, listen, it's a black and white film about a war. You know, it's not like, even for me, like, it's like, do I really want to do that? Dude, this movie hits so hard. Like, it's so good. This storytelling is so incredible. And the way they made it is just like, oh, it's awesome.
What was your favorite movie of the year that you saw this past year? If you had to pick.
I'll be honest, I am terrible at new releases. I don't see a lot of them. And it's only gotten worse since I've had kids. I am going to open up my Letterboxd.
It's okay if it's K-pop Demon Hunters.
It might be.
It's an
honestly,
amazing movie.
It might be.
Talk about cultural impact. We will be talking about K-pop Demon Hunters for Halloween's to come.
I'll say a couple films here. I really enjoyed K-pop Demon Hunters. I did not think I would like it, but I really, really like it. And me and my daughter like listen to the songs in the car all the time. I know most of the lyrics that are in English. I'm in deep. I'm down bad, guys. I'm down bad. So really, really enjoy that. There's also some like small independent films that I just absolutely adored. There's a genre film called Blind Cop 2. There is no Blind Cop 1. In some ways, it's an homage to like 80s cop films. But the thing that I really appreciated, and this was an independent film made for like no money. There's some incredible practical effects in it, and they're like live rounds of ammunition. I don't know how they did it. It's absolutely crazy. But the thing that I love most about this movie is that they were able to tell a sort of borderline parody homage story, and they never made fun of the characters. The jokes were never pointed at the characters. And I thought that this was just such an accomplishment because it's honestly so rare in this sort of homage style of genre film. So I really want to give a shout out to them. I quite enjoyed the film It Ends, which is like really won the indie lottery last year. It premiered at South by Southwest, made the rounds across the indie circuit, and they did get picked up by Neon and will have a theatrical distribution in 2026. So that was like a major, major accomplishment for them. And yeah, I really enjoyed the first half of Sinners. I really enjoyed
Up until what point?
Up until it kind of devolved into the standard horror convention of don't let them in the house. Mm-hmm. At that point, the formula kind of like took over my brain, and I stopped caring all the way through like the multiple endings, which is like something that is not really my thing. Up until that point, though, so it was like right when the Irish like dance number or whatever. So up until that point, I felt like I was flying. Like I was loving like not knowing where the story was going at all. I mean, I really felt like I was on cloud nine. And then the second it sort of like devolved into like the rules, my suspension of disbelief kind of popped, and I didn't enjoy it as much.
I did enjoy the whole thing, but the first half was also my favorite part, especially before it's nighttime. Like I loved watching them go around during the day and do their little errands and stuff.
A movie about party planning.
Yes. Yeah, maybe that's why I related to it so much. I was like, oh yeah, it's hard to put on an event. Yeah. This is not so much a new movie, and it was not a first time watch for me. But I have been thinking about this experience of playing a movie that I had seen several times in a theater, and it speaks to the magic of the theatrical experience. Now that I've been doing this for a long time, it is just undoubtedly better to see a movie in a cinema, particularly with a full house. And as an event runner, you know, it's my job to try to make sure that that house is as full as possible, because when it gets full, something really magical takes place in that room. So there's a film called Harakiri by a Japanese filmmaker, Masaki Kobayashi, and it's from the mid-60s. Now, this film is like, you know, it's got all the critical acclaim ever, and it's very popular because on Letterboxd's top 250 films of all time, which is based on like their aggregate rating system, this has been number one for, I think, the last like 7 or 8 years. Okay, so this is the number one highest rated film on Letterboxd. So we played it at Plaza, a 315 seat house, and we got a 35 millimeter print of Harakiri. And I was thinking like, oh, we'll maybe get like a nice 150 people out, you know, kind of, you know, it's a pretty old Japanese film, and like the 35 millimeter just draw more people. So, you know, I was kind of hopeful maybe we'll have 150. No. We sold out. So 320 people crammed in, and the majority of people were coming because oh, I know that according to Letterboxd, this is the greatest movie of all time, and I've never seen it before, and this is the right way to see it. So anyway, it's a very heavy movie about samurai, like there's multiple flashbacks. I've watched this movie alone in a bedroom 3 times. And if it's a lot of things, but it ain't never been funny. Never has it ever been funny. But all of a sudden, when you're watching it in a room of 320 people and you're catching all these little nuances of the performance, and every time the inquisitor would ask the lead character a question in this trial of, what did you think of this? And the lead actor would take this long pause and go, oh, and he would think about it. And it started slowly, but these ripples of laughter would start to fill the audience. And it became this repetitive thing because the character kept doing this. And every time he did it, you knew he was thinking something, because he kind of has this, like, he's got this mischievous plot that he's up to, and he's going to turn the whole thing on its head. And so the audience is like picking up on it in real time. They're laughing with the character because now they're in on the joke. And by the end of the film, there had been multiple laugh out loud moments that made the film and made the experience come so much more alive. If the house is nice and full and people feel safe to laugh in a group, that is just so beautiful. Like that pure joy and that crowd dynamic, because the art does not exist in a vacuum. It doesn't exist in this sort of platonic ideal up on the screen. It's a relationship between what's playing and the people and what they are bringing to it.
I love that. This is a much newer film, but I had the pleasure of watching Begonia in theaters this year. And this woman, I was in the back row, and there's another woman in the back row, and she was just having the most honest vocalizations in reaction to the ending of the film. It was just so funny. And like, we were laughing at the movie, we were laughing at her. Like, it's just so fun watching a movie with strangers and developing that sense of community. And yeah, it's so fun to gasp and laugh.
I have also been guilty of like getting, like, when I'm on my curmudgeon shit, right? When I'm on my, like, I go through phases of like, I don't want to have to like sit next to someone who like didn't put on deodorant, and like, what if they take out their cell phone and like it's distracting me, and like, I don't want to have to sit next to a stranger. And like, I totally get that. But I think there's 2 things here. Number one, I think the general like sense of decorum in sort of community spaces has fallen, and people need to be encouraged, mostly just through good example. I don't think it's something you can lecture people about, but I think that people can be encouraged through good example to play good behavior and to respect what it means to be a part of the group. But the second thing is that it'd be so easy to like hear somebody having really vocal reactions to a film and be like, oh, well, this is like ruining my experience. But like, if you can kind of get over that hump, as long as the person's not being like outwardly distracting or rude within the theater space, like, yeah, it's a real joy to listen to other people gasp and and like, and make all their little sounds, and like, and I think it's something that we've forgotten. It's shocking to think about the way that corporations have sanitized our communal spaces. I think about this even as as an event planner. It's so hard to find businesses where you can put up a flyer these days. Like, it's so hard to find a coffee shop that isn't trying to protect their fucking Instagram like aesthetic with their fucking plants and shit, and they don't have like a flyer wall, because it's like messy and ugly. And you have all these corporate restaurants that like are they're local businesses, but they have a corporate mentality of like clean surfaces, and we wouldn't deign to like turn this into like a common space. And it's disturbing, it's frustrating, and this mentality has trickled into our own overly clean, aesthetically driven lives, and it's manifesting in terms of our emotions and our tolerance of other people. This is terrible. This is the fascist mentality like trickling down into everyday life, of where all of a sudden it's other people's humanity that disgusts us and that we can't tolerate being around. And again, like, it's not, there's a balance here. It's not that like we can go into a theater and like it's just a free for all, but like within a certain set of these strange mores and expectations around what's societally appropriate to do in a group, it's those things that that really add so much joy, and we have to re-educate people in how to enjoy those things, or at least re-expose people, because I think that the tolerance is really at an extreme low.
Yeah. The price of community is maybe hearing someone chew their popcorn.
Oh, God forbid. Yeah.
Well, do you want to tell people where they can find you and your work?
You can find my work primarily on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow the podcast, which is where I do all my live shows, at Behind the Slate Pod, on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow my film at Withdrawal Film on Instagram. And then you can also follow my personal Instagram and TikTok at Stranded on Stage on both. Withdrawal will be coming to theaters across the world. Hope to be coming to the Roxy in San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
Sometime soon. I'm talking to some folks over there to try to make that happen. And yeah, I've got some upcoming shows. Next month, I will be in Athens, Georgia on March the 12th, playing Alejandro Jodorowsky's The Holy Mountain, which is a just absolutely bonkers, like psychedelic, weird movie that I think people will be very, very excited about. And then in Atlanta on March 26th, we are continuing our Films Against Fascism series. All year long is programmed around films that have anti-fascist themes, which Yarden is why we played Battle Royale in January. And at the end of March, we are playing a film called The Conformist, which is a French-Italian film by Bernardo Bertolucci from the 70s. This film is one of the most beautiful movies you will ever see. I am not, like I've already said, I'm not like a color theory guy. I'm not like a cinematography guy. I'm a story guy. But this movie, oh my God, they do something in making this movie that it is just, I have never seen a movie like it. It is absolutely gorgeous. And it's about this really nasty little bureaucratic Italian fascist, and it kind of goes into his psychology of like just why he sucks so hard. And it's called The Conformist because essentially he lives his life of like he's just trying to be normal, he's just trying to go with the flow. And the movie shows how that mentality can really lead you to some evil places when you are caught up in sort of the wrong time of history. And that's what happens to this man. But anyway, I'm very excited to see that on the big screen. I've never seen it on the big screen before, and it will just be like absolutely like jaw-droppingly beautiful. And that will be at the Plaza on March 26th. I'll continue to do shows all year, 2 shows a year, in addition to touring Withdrawal around the country. So follow me, and I would just love to meet you in person. The greatest joy is, of this sort of mass media is getting people together in person, really forming a community for a couple hours in a movie theater and getting to have an experience together. It's always, always worth it.
Okay, awesome. I'm very interested in The Conformist. I wrote it down, March 26th.
Yeah, come through.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Aaron. This was such a pleasure. And I have a few new films that I'm going to have to check out now as a result of this conversation. So
amazing.
Dipping my toe further into the cinephile community myself.
Well, I would love to know what you're watching and what you think.
Yay. Thank you so much, Aaron. What an enlightening conversation. I personally feel very inspired to try to engage more with the movie-going community after that. It's so funny. It is so easy to go up to someone and be like, what do you think of the movie? But I literally cannot imagine doing that.
I have always thought that there was an etiquette around like not talking about the movie until you leave the theater, because what if
the director is there?
No, when you're at a bigger theater, they're like probably playing it after. Like, what if someone is coming in and they like hear you being like, I don't know, it was kind of boring. Like,
I never thought about that. Wait, that's so interesting. I feel like one of your parents must have told you that, right?
Maybe. So I always wait till I leave to say anything.
So that's why you're always walking out with a soft smile and just nodding at what I'm saying when we leave movies.
Yeah. That's why I'm like putting a paper bag over my face so they can't see how I was affected emotionally. Also, on the subject of someone like referring to one of your Letterboxd reviews to you in person, that's also kind of nightmarish to me.
I have personally been called out for a Letterboxd review.
What happened?
Oh, I really rated Avatar 2 really low, and one of my friends is a big Avatar fan, And she wasn't calling me out. She just was like, that rating, like, it hurts
That
me
rating was
personally.
brutal. Yeah.
And it's just scary to realize that people have eyes and they're seeing what I'm doing.
It's crazy that the stuff I post publicly online is seen by people.
Literally. Like, wait, what? How the hell did you see that?
Should we talk a little bit about the Oscars?
Yes. The Oscars are so funny these days because there's like so much discourse around. Like, they have been so homogenous and white, and like, I don't even know who the Academy is, but whoever's in the Academy is like so exclusionary and old-timey in their thinking for so long. And then the Oscars got criticized for that, and now I feel like there's all this discourse around like, oh well, like this film is gonna win, like just for what, like I just feel like there's so much like
meta gaming.
Yes.
And like, oh, this actor like should have won a long time ago, but now we should give it to them even though this was not their best movie.
Right, like it being someone's time is like such a funny. Do you think that the Academy should take into account people's careers when they're giving awards?
No.
I agree.
Like, if you're saying it's best actor in a movie this year, that's what it should be.
And also, I think that makes film less accessible. Like, if you have to know that this person has had a very, not that like you only watch Best Picture movies, but yeah.
I mean, kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah. I feel like there's been more of a reckoning around the Grammys. Like, people have kind of acknowledged like a Grammy doesn't really mean anything and it's so like racist and whatnot, but there hasn't been as much of that reckoning with the Oscars. Like, it's still like, oh, well, that movie won Best Picture, like it must be really good.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, and I wonder if that's because with respect to the Grammys, like we recognize that the Grammys are not the end all be all of like artistic achievement because music taste is so varied. And of course, there's some people who literally just listen to the radio and like the top whatever songs. But for the most part, I feel like there are more people out there listening to diverse music than there are people out there engaging with independent film and finding films that are off the beaten track. And so like for the average person who's like not considering themselves a cinephile, the Oscars are like such a huge way for like that's how most people learn about movies. And so like the award itself still holds more power. Maybe.
Yeah, it's more of a thing to like go see like a small band at like a small venue than like to seek out like a really small independent movie that you might have to buy from a niche place. Like it's harder to find that.
Yeah, and I think people just like naturally, I guess maybe just like more people consume music than watch movies. I don't know, or maybe it's easier for this is kind of a dumb thought, but it's just like people are listening to all kinds of music, but people are not watching all kinds of movies.
And like the movie theaters are like only playing the big movies.
Yeah. It's funny, like thinking about how I've consumed the Oscars as a kid till now. Like when we were kids, I remember being like, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is snubbed. And you're like, I can't believe it's only nominated for best like practical effect, like visual effects. This is a racket. Like I can't.
I was tuning in for the outfits.
Yeah, so true. Me too. And the hosts. Like it used to be,
Who's hosting?
They've definitely kind of fallen off. I don't know. I feel like it's been like the same people. The biggest year for me was the Amy Poehler, Tina Fey Oscars. Was so fun.
That
was an iconic year.
It's Conan again. Okay, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'm a Conan head. I will be tuning in, but yeah, it seems like hosting the Oscars used to be like a very exciting thing for a comedian to get to do, and now it just seems like an immense amount of pressure for like not very high reward. It's like a tough crowd.
Yeah, like I feel like especially for someone like Conan, like it's not like he's gonna get more popular from hosting. Like the only thing that could affect would be like if he did a bad job and then people would be talking about it.
Yes, so true.
If it was like a less famous comedian, it could have big rewards.
So do you think it's going to be Timmy's time?
Yeah, it seems like it. I read this article in Vulture about how the Oscars usually don't like to give out the big awards to hunks, which I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently is. Like, like they didn't give Leo an Oscar for so long. But
he hasn't been a hunk in so long.
Yeah.
What do you even mean by hunk? Like, because when you first said hunk, I was thinking like a big guy.
A hot young guy is what they mean. But like he wasn't nominated for like Titanic, for example. The theory is because so much of the Academy is men, they're like jealous or something. Or
like,
they're just
no
like,
homo.
They don't have sympathy for like a hot young guy.
There is something there though about like ugly people being better actors. Like
right, they're not just leaning on being so hot. That's not why they got booked. So they were saying with Timmy, like maybe since he's 30 now, he's like old enough / also he's not that hot in Marty Supreme.
He cut his hair.
They like put prosthetics on his face for the pock marks and stuff.
Oh my god, that's so annoying. They had to do shit to his face to make him. Wasn't it like Gwyneth Paltrow thought it was real?
Yeah.
Good, humble him.
So I feel like that could help him.
His next film, he's just gonna be like so fucking disfigured. He's gonna be disgusting.
Is this what you want? Do you think it's his time?
Sure, why not? He was great in Marty Supreme. But Leo was, I thought, really good in One Battle After Another, too. So
same. I liked Leo's performance more.
It's hard, I guess. I feel like Marty Supreme, the whole atmosphere of the film was like so overwhelming for me. My memory of the movie is just like stress. Whereas like One Battle After Another, there's particular moments where I was like, wow, that like really impacted me emotionally. That like delivery of that line or whatever.
Just more evidence of me not being a cinephile, but like I'm not like such a good judge of when someone's doing good acting. Like I know when I like something, but I'm like, is it because of the screenwriting? Is it because
the score?
Right. Is it because I like the plot? I like everything else that's happening, or is it their acting? I'm like, I don't know.
Right. Do you think cinephilia could be your scene?
It's hard for me to imagine like ever identifying with it, like calling myself that. Despite everything Erin said, it still feels a little intimidating. But I do want to watch more movies.
Yeah.
How about you? And I want to talk about it more with people. I do think that's really fun.
Yeah, I think it kind of is. I don't think I'll ever like self-identify as a cinephile, but I do really want to prioritize consuming movies moving forward. Like I'm really enjoying going to see them, and I would love to be a silent participant in some after movie discussions. Like
silent.
Maybe I'll have something to say at some point, but I want to be going to those discussions even though I don't feel ready to speak up yet at this point.
I want to be more comfortable being able to just say like how something made me feel, because that is something that anyone could say, you know?
Yeah.
Because I do get caught up in being like, oh, was I supposed to like that ending? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But they can't tell you how you feel.
Yeah. And I'm like really bad at knowing names of people, directors.
But you're really good at knowing names of feelings. Okay. All right. We've got some Scenester Sisters. Yay.
Yay. Remember to email us, notmyscenepod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Okay. So we have one from Rick So Sick. There was not enough beans. I wanted more beans. Kaya, I have to say, I felt very heard when you recognized the sometimes lovely tunnel vision that your game got you in. 30 hours is nothing to be ashamed about, though. Catching up on the pod and listening in reverse order, the irony and satisfaction of hearing Kaya say, "We're so not gamer girls," and if you suffer a chronic video game addiction, or maybe you don't suffer, relish in a chronic video game addiction in the Pinheads episode right after hearing you disclose your Baldur's Gate 3 addiction and birders. Amazing.
It's so bad. That's
so funny.
Yeah, thank you for calling me out, Rick So Sick. I'm still playing. We're at like 70 hours at this point, which is insane. Like, what have I spent 70 hours on in recent memory other than like work? I could imagine how many movies I could have watched, literally.
But yeah. Now you'll know all the Baldur's Gate references in the new games.
That's so true. When I'm playing future games, I'll recognize the callback. Exactly. Yeah, I want more beans too. I don't have a specific Scenester to report on this, but I will say multiple people have told me that they're making beans from scratch because of you, Den. So your power, and I probably will be soon.
Bean influencer.
All right. We also have a Scenester from Nomi. Nomi says, I also never was into fanfic, but Avi was a huge One Direction fan, and the best thing ever within the fandom was the Larry ship, Harry and Louis. Louis? Oh my God, what's happening? Right? Louis Theroux. Louis Theroux. What's happening? It's Louis. It's Louis.
I think it's Louis.
Directioners are gonna fucking skin us. Harry and Louis secretly being in love. It's interesting thinking about why, because it's not like they are movie characters or are even any women characters involved to be underdeveloped. So yeah, I think girls were just horny to imagine their faves together. I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
I've never really engaged in Larry ship culture, but I recognize its impact from the outside.
I think we're a little too old for that.
Yeah.
How come our generation... Oh, never mind. I was about to say, why wasn't there like a Jonas Brothers ship? But I forgot they were brothers.
That's so funny. If people were braver.
Yeah, there would be in fan fiction. That wouldn't hold them back.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure there is. Yeah. How do you think White Lotus season 3 was inspired? It's all Jonas Brother fan fiction.
Clipping that, and people are going to be like, it actually wasn't.
It's actually an erotic dream that Mike White had while he was on Survivor. Cool. Well, thank you both so much for writing in. Thanks, everyone, for listening. As always, remember to rate, subscribe, follow if you feel so inclined, and email us notmyscenepod@gmail.com. We release episodes every other Tuesday.
Yay. Thanks.
Bye.